Hello, it's now 3 p.m. Hanoi time, and you are in for the next 30 minutes of our show today. I'm Dai Chang with the latest updates for the hour. Cabinet meeting reviews 10-month socioeconomic issues, emphasizing state budget performance and debts. ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting works on humanitarian mine action in Hue City. And Vietnam ranks 90 out of 189 economies in ease of doing business due to the country's efforts in restructuring various fields. The top news for the bulletin. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng on October 29th chaired a government cabinet meeting to review the socio-economic situation and state budget performance for October and the first 10 months of this year. According to the Ministry of Finance, state budget constraints remain an issue. As of this month, state budget revenue reached $31 billion, 85% of the plan. The state budget faced a shortage of $1.5 billion due to lowered global oil prices. As such, Prime Minister stressed the need for increasing the budget, along with measures to compensate for the $1.5 billion loss. The Prime Minister also asked the Ministry of Finance and related ministries to carefully analyze the rise in minimum wage and to make specific plans for avoiding budget losses. Meanwhile, the decision to issue international bond to the global capital market has come with the aim to swap the country's debt. The plan has been made while international interest rates are on the decline and Vietnam's credit rating has improved. This afternoon, the government will continue discussions on other socio-economic issues, such as the poverty rate for the 2016-2020 period, as well as preparations for the Lunar New Year holidays. Now, the fifth version of the draft law on belief and religion was heard at this morning's working session of the National Assembly. On behalf of the government, Minister of Home Affairs Nguyễn Thái Bình said that the law would provide a legal basis for religious affairs in Vietnam. It would provide more consistent content to the 2013 Constitution and international treaties. The minister also said that the law would surmount inadequacies and shortcomings in current regulations on religious belief. This aims to create an open and transparent environment for religious activities while ensuring people's freedom of belief in Vietnam. The law would also limit the government's interference in some internal religious affairs and promote administrative reform in the sector. In other news, in reply to the media request for a statement regarding the deployment of U.S. ships to some geographic structures in Vietnam's Spratly Archipelago, Foreign Ministry spokesman Lê Hải Bình stated, "With a sovereignty over the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos, and as a member of the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, Vietnam respects the freedom and aviation and navigation in the sea in accordance with the rules of convention and in coastal countries. Vietnam calls for more involvement from related parties in maintaining peace, stability, security, and maritime safety in accordance with international law, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea and the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the Sea, or DOC." Now, the third ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting plus conference for the Experts Working Group on Humanitarian Mine Action took place on Thursday in Hue. The event was hosted by the defense ministers of Vietnam and India and saw the participation of ASEAN member representatives as well as their partner countries. Participants discussed water and sea pollution caused by mines and explosives, as well as how to combat these issues. A number of ideas and proposals for cooperation were raised at the conference. Vietnam also presented its current mines and explosives situation, along with actions taken to improve it. The ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting plus Experts Group on Humanitarian Mine Action was established in May 2013. The transboundary haze pollution has been a big problem for people across ASEAN countries. Haze pollution originates from Indonesia, where huge forest fires often go on for months. But now preventing and mitigating haze pollution has become a problem for the whole of ASEAN. This is also part of the agenda of the 13th ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on Environment.
For the last few weeks, millions of people in Indonesia, the Philippines, Singapore, and even Thailand and southern Vietnam have suffered from the transboundary haze pollution, facing the increased risk of respiratory and cardiovascular diseases.
That the haze problem now is much more serious than it was in previous years. So we are taking care of our people by issuing health advisories, asking them to take proper precaution so that they do not get respiratory illnesses.
Since 1997, haze pollution has become an annual phenomenon in the region due to forest fires in Indonesia. This year, the high-intensity El Niño has made forest fires in Indonesia more uncontrollable. Therefore, preventing forest fires and improving air quality have become an urgent task for not only Indonesia but also other countries in the region.
Indonesian government has been trying to prevent haze with support from ASEAN countries, Australia and Canada. Haze pollution has been mitigated.
According to experts, in order to put forest fires under control, ASEAN countries need to build up both national and regional legal systems to prevent environmental crimes.
First, regional countries have to strictly implement laws on environment, establish punishments. ASEAN countries also have to cooperate with each other, support each other in investigation and finding materials and evidence.
ASEAN countries have agreed to map out a cooperation plan for controlling transnational haze pollution. This plan will include activities to share experiences, raise public awareness and understanding of haze pollution, develop human resources and transfer technology in preventing air pollution.
The 12th meeting of the Vietnam-Belarus Intergovernmental Committee for Economic, Trade, Scientific and Technological Cooperation took place in Minsk on October 26 to 27th. Nearly 50 representatives from authorities and enterprises of the two countries attended the meeting.
Participants reviewed the remarkable outcome of the multifaceted cooperation between Vietnam and Belarus. Belarus has increased its export of tires, pharmaceuticals, alcohol, milk, food and industrial products to Vietnam. Meanwhile, Vietnam shipped products such as coffee, tea, nuts, noodle, confectionaries and seasonings to the Eastern European nation. However, the trade turnover between the two countries has yet to fulfill its potential. In 2014, trade turnover was recorded at just $170 million. The figure stood at nearly $96 million in the first 8 months of this year. The two sides agreed that the free trade agreement between Vietnam and the Eurasia Economic Union signed in Kazakhstan last May would add more momentum to economic links between Vietnam and Belarus after the deal took effect.
In order to strengthen economic and trade links between Vietnam and Belarus, it is important to enhance technological transfers and establish joint ventures in products like cars, trucks and tractors, which are Belarus' strengths.
The two sides agreed to promote key projects to investors in the two countries. They will also expand cooperation in other fields such as information communications, culture, sports and tourism.
Now, the third conference of the Vietnam-China Border Management Cooperation Commission took place yesterday in Beijing, China. Main points included a review of the management situation in 2015, solutions to outstanding issues after 2 years since the Commission's establishment, and a working agenda for 2016. The two sides also signed a memorandum of understanding for cooperation in the coming time. Accordingly, 7 Vietnamese border management agencies, including Quảng Ninh, Cao Bằng, Lạng Sơn, Hà Giang, Lào Cai, Điện Biên, and Lai Châu provinces, will strengthen ties with their Chinese counterparts in Guangxi and Yunnan provinces. These localities have pledged to create favorable conditions for trade activities at the border areas of the two countries. Now, Europe can become Vietnam's best partner in the future because Vietnam is one of the most dynamic pro-Europe countries in the region. This was the main message of the Ambassador Bruno Angelet, the new head of the EU delegation to Vietnam, during a press conference yesterday. Ambassador Angelet used to be Belgian ambassador to Vietnam during the 2011 to 2015. In his new role, he hopes to focus on poverty reduction programs, improvements to the judiciary, and speeding up procedures to have the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement signed by this year's end. The EU is Vietnam's second biggest trade partner and a leading official development assistance donors. Vietnam and the EU are celebrating 25 years of diplomatic relations this year. For the past 25 years, Vietnam and the EU have achieved a lot. Through various multilateral and bilateral projects, member countries and the EU have established strong relations with Vietnam based on trust and mutual understanding. And VTV International had an exclusive interview with Ambassador Bruno Angelet and discussed his new term as the head of the EU delegation to Vietnam.
Thanks for the interview. First of all, congratulations on your new role as the head of the EU delegation to Vietnam. Could you share with us your priorities in your new term?
Vietnam has always held an important position in the EU's policies for the past 25 years. The EU and Vietnam have concluded negotiations for a free trade agreement. Over the last 3 years, the two sides have worked on a strategic partnership agreement. We will continue with our existing projects to develop renewable energy and electricity in remote areas. We will also assist in strengthening Vietnam's judiciary. Regarding trade and investment, the two sides need to find ways to have the FTA signed, ratified, and take effect. We are offering support to small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as support in science and innovation, including astronomy.
In which sectors will the EU's ODA focus on in the coming years?
During Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng visit to Brussels, the two sides agreed to focus on energy and judiciary. Regarding energy, we will assist with poverty reduction by helping the poorest regions get access to electricity and assist the government in developing renewable and clean energy. The second priority will be enhancing judiciary so that courts can act in a more efficient and transparent way.
Vietnam is the second ASEAN country negotiating with the EU for a free trade agreement. Could you tell us about the benefits that Vietnam will gain from this trade pact?
We hope that the FTA will be signed during a Vietnamese delegation's visit to the EU in late November or early December. This trade deal will be beneficial to Vietnam. We believe that Vietnam's economy has huge potential in ASEAN and an appealing destination for European investors. We hope that the Vietnamese government will issue measures to help the private sector benefit from the trade deal.
Thank you very much.
Up next, let's check out the exchange rate between Vietnamese dong and some major currencies in today's trading. Next on BTV News, Vietnam ranks 90 out of 189 economies in ease of doing business due to the country's efforts in restructuring various fields. An exhibition to showcase Vietnamese spiritual animal icons. Stay with us for the stories and more. Welcome back here on VTV News. Now, Vietnam ranks 90 out of 189 economies in ease of doing business, up 3 spots from the previous year, according to a report released on October 28th by the World Bank. This result is partly due to the country's efforts in restructuring various fields.
According to the World Bank 2016 Doing Business report, Vietnam has improved in 5 areas, including starting a business, obtaining credit, paying taxes, resolving insolvency, and getting electricity. However, the report also showed Vietnam's below-average performance when it comes to registering property, protecting minority investors, trading across borders, and enforcing contracts.
Now, when it comes to specific areas, I think the 3 areas where Vietnam is lagging performance is actually related to business exit. So Vietnam has done a lot of reforms to improve business entry, business registration, but it hasn't focused so much on improving bankruptcy.
As such, Vietnam's ease of doing business is still far behind Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, who rank first, 18th and 49th respectively. Therefore, further efforts to improve the business environment are required.
So what is important, I think, is that doing business is just measuring aspects of the overall business climate and the overall competitiveness of an economy. And of course, Vietnam has put in place many different reforms to improve its overall competitiveness.
This year, the World Bank made changes to its survey methodology and updated data. Under the new method, Vietnam jumped 3 spots from the previous year.
Now, low quality and low priced products have been the concern of Vietnam's seafood industry, a situation caused by the continued use of outdated processing machines and facilities. This concern is becoming more serious in the context of global and regional integration, meaning more concerted efforts are required to upgrade processing technology across the sector, and more to follow.
Post-processing maintenance is a determining factor to the quality of export products. The seafood processing facility invested nearly $180,000 on a European standard freezer. It freezes products twice as fast as other freezers, which helps ensure freshness and hygiene of the products.
In an integrated economy, quality is the most important aspect. Price is only secondary. If we do not upgrade our technology, there won't be a place for our products in the global market. We can even hardly compete in the domestic market.
Post-processing maintenance is a determining factor to the quality of export products. The seafood processing facility invested nearly $190,000 on a European standard freezer. It freezes products twice as fast as other freezers, which helps ensure freshness and hygiene for the products.
We cannot afford to upgrade our entire system, but we can do it step by step. We have started with this freezer.
We need to have a plan and a roadmap so that enterprises can diversify their products and upgrade their products through the application of high technology.
When tariff barriers no longer exist in an integrated market, technical barriers are often tightened. Unless the quality of Vietnam's seafood improves, it will lose overseas markets. Upgrading technology is an urgent requirement and essential to the future of Vietnamese exports.
Now, the 2015 Vietnam Motor Show kicked off on Wednesday at the Saigon Exhibition and Convention Center. The event featured 18 leading brand names such as Toyota, Lexus, and Mercedes, together with 50 enterprises in supporting industries. 150 state-of-the-art models with a total value of more than $11 million are on display. Toyota has introduced its latest fuel cell vehicle, which has a unique design and eco-friendly technology. Fuso and Hino, meanwhile, will show off their latest fuel-saving models with increased engine life. The Vietnam Motor Show is the biggest automobile exhibition of 2015 and will last until the 1st of November. Now, presently, many kinds of waste are produced from daily life activities and industrial production. If these discarded items are recycled, they can become useful products, which will protect the environment and save materials. Realizing this, a lecturer from the Applied Art Department of the Hue College of Arts has started a business based on waste. Let's find out more in the following.
With his creative skill, lecturer Nguyễn Văn Du creates eye-catching, fashionable handbags from old rubber tires.
I realized that waste is increasing, especially industrial waste. In Hue City, there are a lot of discarded tires, which can harm the environment if thrown away or burned. I have tried to make useful things from them.
To create these eco-friendly and fashionable products, Du and his students combined old tires, old clothes, and old leather. Each product is made by hand, resulting in one kind of designs which appeal to customers.
I want to help protect the environment and raise public awareness of this issue. If my business grows well, I will use some of the money to establish a fund for environmental protection.
Eco-friendly design is a new trend among many fashion designers. Du also revealed that he is trying to create other products from different kinds of waste. At this year's Hue Traditional Craft Festival, his co-friendly products were a crowd favorite.
In other news, a wild cat and a southern pig-tailed macaque were recently released back into Kego Nature Reserve in Hà Tĩnh Central Province. These two animals are listed as endangered species of Group 1B and 2B in the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Red List of Threatened Species. They are rarely found in forests in Central Highlands. Earlier, the two had been cased by the locals in Cẩm Trung Town, Cẩm Xuyên Province, before being handed to forest rangers. And Hà Tĩnh Forest Ranger Department and the environmental police officers have released more than 800 rare animals into the wild, including monitor lizards, porcupines, snakes, and turtles. Now, more than 100 exhibits of sacred and mythical animals in Vietnamese culture were presented yesterday at the Vietnam National Museum of History in Hanoi. Let's find out more about this display in the following.
The exhibits include icons of dragons, unicorns, flamingos, mandarin ducks, and the 12 animal designations of the Lunar New Year. The statues of lion, made in the 16th and 17th centuries, are being introduced to the public for the first time.
These statues are very old. On the censer of the 17th century, we can see these icons and many others in the form of carvings and sculptures.
These figures were created to be cultural symbols, to pass on spiritual ideas and religious beliefs. Each animal features a unique aspect of cultural tradition. They also embody the distinct artistic values of each era. The display has made a strong impression on Vietnamese and foreign visitors.
So we've just looked around the exhibition. It's very interesting. Lots of different animals that we don't really see back home. You don't get many dragons or unicorns. Dragon, because it's got to be the dragon, hasn't it? I mean, it breathes fire and it's very lucky. The dragons here are very different. In England, dragons have big wings, but over here they're more like a snake, very, very long, but very beautiful.
These sacred and mythical animals were created by Vietnamese or emerged from exchanges with other cultures. They are used as cultural symbols to convey spiritual and religious beliefs and messages.
This exhibit showcases these iconic animals, which are of significance to Vietnamese culture. This is important in highlighting the uniqueness of our culture.
These animals are not only described in myths and legends, but also expressed in visual art. The exhibition is a chance for visitors to see sacred and mythical animals so that they can better understand Vietnamese culture through the individual story and characteristics of each item and how they have been influenced by different cultures. The exhibition will run until February next year.
And that piece of news has led to an end of VTV News. And just before we say goodbye, let's take a look at our updated weather forecast. And that's all we have for you in this live edition of VTV News. In the meantime, do log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go. And we'll be back at 6 p.m. local time with more in-depth stories, so don't forget to check it out. Once again, thank you very much for being here with us. Goodbye for now.